story. This was a pretty big story yesterday on the Twitter sphere. From Mediaite, journalist Ken Klippenstein suspended by X after publishing hacked JD Vance dossier. So we got the first look into what the Iranians, quote unquote, hacked and gave allegedly to the Kamala Harris campaign. Of course, on their own fruition. They did it. Nobody in the Kamala Harris campaign could have possibly asked for any of this type of information. But it says here from Mediaite, it says back in February, the Trump campaign compiled a research dossier on Vance in order to vet the Ohio senator as a potential running mate for Trump. The 271-page document included a section about, quote unquote, potential vulnerabilities, which included his past criticisms of the former president. Klippenstein on Thursday published the dossier via his website. Quote, the dossier has been offered to me and I've decided to publish it because it's of keen public interest in an election season. It's a 271-page research paper that Trump campaign prepared to vet the now vice presidential candidate, J.D. Vance. As far as I can tell, it's been altered. It hasn't been altered, excuse me. But even if it was, its contents are publicly verifiable. I'll let it speak for itself. His account was suspended hours after publishing the dossier. It says here, X, which Elon Musk took over and promised to reinvent as a free speech platform, also does not allow users to even link to the report from Klippenstein. And so this has a lot of, obviously symbolism and congruency with the Hunter Biden laptop. But they forget to mention one big point right here. It says a spokesperson for X told journalist Justin Baragona that Klippenstein had been temporarily suspended for sharing Vance's personal information, like his home address and part of his social security number. So everybody yesterday, I jumped into a couple Twitter spaces, and you had, of course, the usual suspects like the Krasensteins and everybody else. Oh, Elon Musk doesn't stand for free speech. Look what he's doing. I don't know where they were with the Miranda Devine in 2020, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they didn't stand up for that back then, but they are right now. Elon Musk does not stand for free speech. There's no reason this should be taken down. The personal information, okay, whatever, fine, I guess. Why does that mean that his account should be suspended? I have no love for these people. I think they all suck. I think they're all retarded, to be honest. But we're getting the mirrored version of the Hunter Biden laptop story. This is coming out this way for a reason. This is obviously a coordinated info op. The information in the JD Vance dossier doesn't really interest me one way or another. But, Elon Musk, people got to understand that Elon Musk is pulling the rug on people. He is setting the rug out. Everybody's piling on because they love Elon, and then he pulls it out from under them. He did this to the communists when it comes to the climate change agenda and how much they thought that Elon was their champion of climate technology. It's clear that that's not what the purpose of all that was. And, his focus on the so-called climate agenda is, I guess, minimal at this point. He's doing the same thing with the ridiculous space nonsense about flying to Mars and that absurd spacewalk thing he did last week. Seems like he's doing the same thing with free speech. He's going to give them a version of it and then let all the people who said this is not a violation of free speech 4 years ago experience that violation and see what they say now, while the same has been reversed on the other side. We were screaming and yelling about how this is a violation of free speech in coordination with the government, and now we're protecting those things. And the same holds true. I don't know if we're going to get to that Eric Adams indictment, but the same holds true there. We look at the Trump indictments and we're like, this is a disgrace. These are obviously fake indictments, and they are fake indictments. And then we see the Eric Adams thing, and we're like, Eric Adams did all these things. He was taking money from Turkey. Like every country is the same. The regime is the regime. Eric Adams has been doing this just like every other politician. All of them knew he was doing this. Isn't happening in real time. So, we're seeing these levels of disclosure and having the opportunity to adhere to the principles that we professed 4 years ago. And it's strange that so many people are just jumping off of those. I mean, we are waiting and watching for the, quote unquote left, which includes all of the corporate uniparty right media as well. They're all leftists. We're waiting for them to reverse themselves, and that's the good part. But while they're doing that, we're doing the same thing, and that's the bad part.
I'm going to push back on that. I think that that Musk was justified in taking this down and temporarily suspending. It's been reinstated. It's not like those of us in 2020 that posted that on Facebook, on X, and on Twitter then, and were permanently cast off into the abyss. He has been reinstated. They've made a public statement that it's because of the doxing of certain information. His running mate, the top of the ticket for his ticket has been, they've attempted to assassinate him twice. You have Matt Gaetz coming out and saying that Iran and other foreign nations have teams already in the United States trying to assassinate him. We played yesterday the Mike Lee video that he posted. Now, granted, it's from 2022, but it's on the Ayatollah's website, showing a drone breaching Mar-a-Lago. It's all AI, computer generated CGI, but breaching Mar-a-Lago and literally showing that you're going to kill President Trump because he's the one responsible for Soleimani. And, is JD Vance's information that hard to obtain? No, but there's not a point in putting it out there, publicly. And so, I don't see this as a major issue. Now, if you wanted to make or have a conversation about, Elon Musk and what he just did in Brazil with X, we talked about this yesterday briefly, saying that he will follow through with the Brazilian government's demand that he ban certain accounts, most of which are attributed to Bolsonaro or supporters of Jair Bolsonaro. We could get into a discussion about, and whether or not it's better for X to be operating in that market with the government's request, upheld, or if it's better to cut everybody off. And, I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
I think that everybody should just be allowed to say and post whatever the hell they want, and that the rest of the world should have to deal with it.
Okay. I see Natural Nikki says now there's supposedly surface to air missiles that came across the border with Trump as an intended target. Yeah. I've seen that reported a couple places, saying independent sources are saying that 9 SAM missiles have made their way into the United States. If that's true, that's insane. And if Trump's going to have diversion aircraft now flying, chaff and flare are coming out the back of Trump Force One. Yeah, that's nuts.
I'm sure he's well prepared for it. And, we get headlines like this. Is there anything to that? I don't know. People shared the hell out of it. So now everybody believes that it's happening. What is the ultimate purpose of that? I have no idea. Is it real? Who knows? Has it happened before? Probably. These are I think a lot of the stuff that we're seeing right now is stuff that happened before that we weren't told about or weren't prepared to understand. And I think it makes sense to view all of this stuff in that light, just to maintain some sense of perspective, because otherwise we're just caught believing whatever's on the internet if it fits our ideas about what's happening.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting that Trump has been talking about an Iron Dome for the United States and making sure that we get an Iron Dome, as we now have kind of rumors of potentially having SAM missiles in our own borders. So, all right, let's jump into the next big story of the day, and that is, like Chris